Hey y'all, it's your girl Sia, and I'm back with another video. Y'all, so really quick, I did want to touch briefly, and I will do another video on the conversation of this meritocracy that we're supposedly ushering into. And I want to talk about the conversation as it relates and pertains to just American society and Black Americans as well. Um, Here's my thing, you guys. I've always said that I believe that no matter what, right, people should be striving for excellence, right? And the reason why I say this is because I used to watch these movies called I'll give y'all an example, Annie, right, with the little orphan, right, who was an orphan, right? She was in crappy circumstances, and then somehow she had a dream and she had a wish or a vision or whatever, and she ended up with this billionaire guy who ended up, really being her adoptive parent or what have you. Um, Another movie that I don't know if you guys know about, but Baps was another movie that I thought was interesting in terms of the storyline, which was two BAP stands for, what was it, Black African Princesses. I guess it was, I don't know, Black African princesses. So it was Holly Berry and I don't remember the other girl's name. But they were supposedly ghetto and from the hood, downtrodden women, like, just lower bottom low, who happened to meet a wealthy man. And that wealthy man ended up becoming their friend. And thus, when he passed away, he ended up like, inheriting all his money to them, right? I see these scenarios and I know those are weird movies to pull out, but I'm just saying, like, there's so many movies that really talk about the underdog, right? Rising to the top. And when I was younger, I was never taught to succumb to people's thought processes or opinions of me, right? For the most part, I was taught that I can do whatever I set my mind to, whatever I put my mind to, I can do, I can achieve, I can be, whatever. And so I have a different outlook in the sense that I feel like no matter what a person is faced with, it's like God is putting you through these situations and or facing you, having you face these types of situations for a reason, right? And I think if people don't ponder those reasons, it's easy to become, how can I say it? It's easy to become um what's the word? What am I looking for? It's easy to become um like a victim. It's easy to become kind of on this, what is it, that cycle, a wheel, like it's like a rat on a wheel going through the same thing over and over again because we're not understanding that those are things that we should be questioning. So I feel like just in general, people should always be moving forward for the most part. Like, I'm not saying that you're not going to go through pain and you're not going to experience things that do not feel good, and things that we feel like is not fair. But there was a saying that I heard when I was coming up that life is not fair, right? And so, in all realities, I feel like people should be striving to overcome adversity as much as possible. Okay. Now, with that being said, I know that not everybody has that ability, right? It takes a certain kind of person, it takes a certain kind of heart to really say, you know what, I'm gonna be this person, I'm gonna succeed no matter what. I'm gonna defy all the odds against me, like, regardless, right? There are people that would jump through hoodles and hurts or hurdles, excuse me, I can't talk hoodles and hurdle herps. Y'all, I can't talk today. Hoodles through hurdles, okay, just to be able to see themselves where they want to be in life. And there are other people who don't have that same drive, okay? And understanding that everybody is made differently, that we are all different from one another, right? I think it's very important that there's this understanding that we don't all come have the same motivation. We don't all have the same motivational triggers, right? We don't all have and or come from environments that allow us to explore what we are capable of in our entirety. We Some of us don't have the tools that others do. And while some say, okay, well, how come that one kid out of the hood makes it while so many other kids don't make it? And maybe they need to be following that one kid. Not every kid's about to be a football player, man. Not every kid is going to have the same outcome and or is meant to have the same outcome. When I say tools, because it's very interesting when we talk about this meritocracy conversation. We have this conversation, and the conversation is that, hey, you get by based upon your own merits. And I guess for me, I would be wondering, what are the guidelines for these merits? Like, are we going to roll them out? Like, is it social? Is it hard work? Is it, what is the guideline for the meritocracy? And the reason why I ask this is because so many people use these words loosely, and really, I don't think a lot of people understand what they're in support of or against, right? Um, so when I go back to being a kid, right, and dealing and going through life, right, and experiencing this reality that we call life, I'm wondering, and this is a real, how much of this meritocracy applies to those children. I mean, it really does apply, right? I can't even say it doesn't apply, but when do we say, okay, some of these children are not starting from the same starting point as other people's children? When does that part come into the conversation? I guess is really like, how do you justify a kid that's 7 and that's in quote unquote private school, right? That is having all these resources kind of thrown at him versus the kid who's in the hood, who doesn't have much at all, like is starting from complete scratch. I guess in a meritocracy, right? I understand that hard work matters, but is it really hard work that matters? I guess is my question. I mean, is that really what counts? Because I'm not seeing the parents of this wealthy child saying, you know what? That black kid doesn't have the same opportunity as you. And they don't have to be black. They could be white. They could be whatever. I don't see that kid having the same opportunity as you. So I'm gonna set my kid backwards on their playing field, take all the resources out, put them in that kind of school, and see how they do. And I don't see that parent also saying, you know what, I'm gonna bring that kid that's behind up a little bit so my kid can have some competition, right? I guess I'm not seeing how, because I understand that motivation doesn't work the same for everybody. It never really has. It just is what it is. I guess, how far backwards is the hood, the child growing up in the hood? How much further behind are they really in comparison to this child who grew up, who's in private school, who has all the resources thrown at them? It just makes me wonder, right? Like, is there going to be a starting line? Do we start the race? Like, I mean, I don't know. Is that fair? Like, I guess if it's hard work and dedication that gets us to where we're at, and that's what this meritocracy is based on, is hard work and merit. um you know that's cool, but for the kid who grows up in the hood, right, They have to now work 10 times as hard to catch up to the kid. And I say 10 times, it could be 2 times, it could be 3 times. They have to work extra hard to catch up to the kid who's in private school that has all the resources and then surpass that kid. I mean, that's merit, right? But what happens when these kids get older, right? And the kid from the hood says, "You know what? I want to go to I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna get good grades, I'm gonna work extra harder than the kid in private school, and I'm gonna get into the big schools, the Ivy Leagues or whatever." And then that kid from the private school doesn't necessarily meet the educational. I mean, they do, but they fall just at below, just at average, just at below average, whatever the minimum requirement is to get into that college. But they're getting in anyway because their parents have thrown resources at them, and they know the dean, and maybe know some of the kids, and maybe know some of the families that also donate to that school. Where is the meritocracy? If they get in, what does that say? Is that meritocracy? Like, I guess for me, I just need to know, is this a social thing? Is this a all around the world like board thing? Is it career, social? Like, what is it? Racial, right? I think the guidelines should be spelled out here, especially if we're going into this new matrix, right? This new, I guess, reality that they're trying to build. For me, I've said this before and I'll say this again. And I keep saying it because I don't really trust nobody in these times. I don't feel like this is the time for anybody to trust anybody in terms of politics and in terms of what people say they're going to do and don't do and how they're going to do it. I just rather watch. Okay. Because I said this in my last video when it came to politics. I believe that integrity is key. I believe that everything sounds good. But integrity, it's up to the integrity of the individual to uphold what it is that they're saying they're going to do and then do it so that it's just and fair for everybody. I don't know if as a black individual, if I would leave and I don't know that it has anything to do with black. I'm also a woman, right? I got a couple strikes against me. I don't know that I would leave my my future in the hands of individuals that participate in certain types of politics. I just don't know that I would do that, right? So what I've come to learn in this kind of this the last it's been since 2020 really. What I've learned is just to sit back and watch. Sit back and watch. I don't know if this is going to be beneficial for black people. And I know a lot of people are like, okay, well, here's the deal. I voted for Trump in maybe 2016 or 2020. I think I voted for Trump maybe in 2020. I did. But I didn't vote for Trump. Maybe I did. I mean, I feel like my lifestyle was pretty lucrative. I was living a pretty lucrative life. I felt good in terms of my finances during that time. But I don't know that I started making money under Trump necessarily. Like I started making money in 2020, really. I think Trump was president before that. So I don't really attribute my success to any one party. Okay. I voted for Trump because of what we were experiencing at that time and who I felt like was going to provide the most common sense and the most logic um outcomes, right? Who was going to produce the most. Now I understand we're in a different timeline, we're in a different reality. And so I don't know, it's kind of wacko, like everything is weird. And while I'm excited for us to go into this future of the future and AI and technology and all this extra stuff, I'm also like, I done seen too many movies, man. So I really don't trust what I see. So I'm not here to tell you guys one way or the other if this is bad for Black Americans. But what I will say is Black Americans are smart is going to force many more Black Americans to do for self. If anything, what we're going to start seeing, because I do believe there's a sector of the population who voted for Trump because of Trump's criminal background. Regardless if he deserves to be a criminal, that's not what we're arguing. He's got a criminal background, period. And I believe some of the Black community identifies with that type of um, behavior. And so I'm at a point, y'all, where I feel like, there's also another sector of the Black community that supports Trump because they feel like they're going to get a bag. And I feel like, I know that sounds crazy, but I really feel like that's like the mentality. I don't believe that everybody's fully educated on what's happening. Because if they were, there would be people on the fence. I'm on the fence. I've been on the fence. I have not been able to take myself off the fence. I am completely out of this one. I think if anything positive comes from what the things that we're going to see coming down the pipeline, we are going to see, excuse me, more and more Black people, if Black people are smart, doing for self, leaving these institutions that don't give a flying about us and building our own, whether we like it or not. And there's also going to be a sector of us, right, that don't understand that merit, quote unquote, as they like to say, is 9 times out of 10 not just education, not just hard work, but it also includes your social ability, your ability to assimilate into a certain type of culture and be that person that they want you to be, not yourself. So understand that merit, quote unquote, because when you look at how some of these people are able to maneuver, some of these people don't work hard at all, and they're in higher positions than what they should be in. So it is my firm belief that people just need to be mindful of that. Understand that. I understand when Black women are saying, hey, look, we have the most degrees, we'll be fine, yada, yada, yada. Okay, you'll be fine, but I promise you there's going to be a lot more Black women not working for certain sectors, okay? Not working for certain companies. It's coming. And maybe this is what needs to happen. Maybe this whole dynamic, this whole new administration is what's going to light the fire under certain people's butts, including mine. This time is ticking. So do I believe in this meritocracy stuff? I mean, I believe it when I see it, but I'm not a fool. I know that the reality and the way in which certain systems are structured, right? I mean, I deal with it every day. I mean, when you go, if you, as a Black person, you go to work and you see it every day. As a hardworking person, it doesn't matter if you're Black or white, Spanish, it don't matter. As a hardworking person, you go to work and you see that one person that's lazy and still at work. I'm just saying. So I believe it when I see it. We'll see. Because if this is really based upon merit, then your skin color shouldn't matter. But my question is, what do you do with the people who don't even have a chance? They don't even have an opportunity to try to get in the race to have some merit. It's a whole lot of them. It's a whole lot of them. So that's all I gotta say. I'm just curious. I'm just giving y'all my thoughts, y'all. With that being said, let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. With that being said, I'm out. Peace.